Hi, I'm Stephanie Anderson, a hair loss professional, a speaker, advocate, and best-selling author. And I want to talk to you about Alopecia Is a Thing, breaking through the BS or the belief systems. This is a groundbreaking book that delves deep into the truths about alopecia that have been long misunderstood. Are you or someone you know affected by this condition? Then this book is a must-read for you. In this eye-opening read, you will uncover the causes, the symptoms, and emotional support options for alopecia like never before. Say goodbye to misconceptions and discover practical tips and advice that have empowered countless individuals to reclaim their confidence and embrace their true selves. But the journey doesn't stop there. Alopecia Is a Thing goes beyond facts and figures, and it's a collection of powerful personal stories from real people who have triumphed over alopecia. Their inspiring journeys will touch your heart and show you the incredible resilience of the human spirit in the face of adversity. Whether you're personally affected by alopecia or seeking to better understand it, this book is your essential guide. It's a beacon of hope and empowerment for anyone willing to open their minds to new perspectives and possibilities. Don't miss out on this transformative read. You don't have to be a woman or man losing your hair to understand this book, but you must have an open mind too. And if you're ready to take control of your life and regain your confidence, then Alopecia Is a Thing is the perfect resource for you. And let's journey towards, if not a hairier, but emotionally healthier future together.
3, 2,
Family law is a complex and nuanced field that delves into the intricacies of personal relationships and responsibilities within the family unit. Hello, my name is Stephanie Anderson, and welcome to the Main Health Show. As a layperson, understanding family law can be both enlightening and empowering, as it provides insight into the legal framework that governs issues such as marriage, divorce, child custody, and property division. One aspect of family law that frequently makes headlines is domestic violence, a serious and often hidden issue that affects individuals and families across all walks of life. High-profile cases involving celebrities or public figures can bring attention to this important issue, shining a spotlight on the need for legal protections and support for victims of domestic violence. My guest today is Trevor Burgess, attorney at law. He received a BA at the University of Texas at Austin, a Juris Doctorate, JD, magna cum laude, at Florida Coastal School of Law, and has been practicing law successfully for over a decade. His approach to law is educate, collaborate, dominate. And we're going to talk about his experience and how he helps his clients and the innovative idea that he has created. Welcome, Trevor, to the Main Health Show.
Thank you for having me.
It is such a pleasure. I know we had talked about you coming, and I was glad that when the invitation was made that you were able to open up your schedule to come. So just give a little, in the intro I gave a little bit about your history, but kind of talk a little bit about your experience. What really even made you interested in practicing law?
Ooh, there's a big one. So many moons ago, I was the managing partner over a local bar and grill here in town called Hooligans. And I enjoyed the work and working with lots of people and solving problems, but at the same time, I wanted to make a bigger contribution to society, something that I thought or felt would be more meaningful. And so I left that, the comfort of that job, and embarked on a new journey. And I never looked back. And so I went from managing conflict in a bar kind of atmosphere to managing conflict at a different kind of bar, with the state bar in the courtroom. And I think all of that experience with conflict and conflict management helped me and shaped me into the person I am today. Yeah.
I could agree. I mean, knowing you personally and knowing how you resolve conflict is needed, especially people with integrity. I'll say that. So I've always been fascinated with law. My first degree was as a paralegal, so I've always loved the legal research of it all. But having someone who really practices it to the nth degree that you do has always fascinated me. I know that you are like in solo private practice.
I am. We recently employed a full-time paralegal, a part-time attorney. So I'm making the transition from solo practitioner to a larger law firm.
Congratulations, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, so what I want to talk to you about is, family law. That is, as you know, I'm telling the audience though, but there are so many different types of law you could practice, criminal law, but family law is something that, as the introduction shared, you really have to know exactly what it is that you're dealing with because you're dealing with people's lives and children can be involved in different issues. What got you interested in family law? How did you start that?
So family law is unique in that emotions run high. In a business dispute, or even in personal injury cases, most of the time it's only about a number. But in family law, it strikes a nerve, emotions, anxiety, because we're dealing with the most important person in a family's life, and that is the child. So family law can be stressful because the client is under so much stress and so much emotion. And one of the things that drives the anxiety even higher is that the client doesn't know what to expect. And whenever we don't know what to expect, that's when our nervous system goes on stress overload.
Yes. And sometimes you can kind of maybe not think rationally or maybe not act in the way that you normally would because there's so much at stake.
There's been a couple phone calls where I get yelled at or a stern talking to, but then we try and walk it back and calm back down or take a few minutes and regroup. So yes, you're right. Family law is unique insofar as it's very personal.
Yeah, definitely. And I can imagine dealing with divorces, property distribution, even where a child is going to be, living, if they're going to be shared custody or sole or whatever. I'm sure even for you, how do you practice? Because I know that you're a family man, you're married with children, very active in your children's day-to-day. How do you kind of like separate the professional from your personal?
Compartmentalize. I have to check in and check out from my family life and put that on hold to take care of and focus on the issues that my client's having. But at the same time, I also have to be able to put all that down and go from a bad day and a bad situation to picking up the kids and talking to them about how their day was, And then after I get them situated after school and after homework and running the extracurricular activities, then I have to check back into work and pick up those problems again. So I think a lot of it is compartmentalizing, but there's another part of it that I just don't get as stressed out because I know that there's a long distance from where we are right here with this particular problem until we resolve the case. There's a lot of steps in between, and for a client, they don't tend to appreciate that, and everything is very much a very real problem today that needs a real solution today. And while we do try and get solutions as quickly as possible, oftentimes, as
it's not happening today.
The solution doesn't come right away.
Yeah, I do. And I know that you, because I know how thorough you do, and I know that you explain that, but yeah, emotions are involved. But I do know that you just, you're about innovation and doing things differently. Because there is such an importance, I believe, in the layperson knowing about family law, you decided to develop an online course to kind of bring a little bit. Take your time. We got some time here. I want you to kind of talk about the course, what it is you're envisioning in creating it, and how it works, and all of that kind of stuff.
So it's a family law course for parents.
Yeah.
And right now it's limited to only my clients.
Okay.
Because I want to keep working on it, keep developing it, and whenever my clients ask me a question, I want to be able to get them an answer right away, and an answer that's going to be relevant to their particular case.
Okay.
In the future, I plan on opening it up, opening the course up to the larger public, but right now it's only limited to just my clients.
Okay.
And the goal, or I guess the vision, is that I want to take my lowest performing client and I want to elevate them through education to where they can perform in the courtroom and out of the courtroom at a level that's a lot closer to my top performing client.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I think that gets better results. It has a bigger impact on the co-parenting relationship, because a lot of the family law issues, not every family law issue, but many of the family law issues are exacerbated by co-parenting conflict and how the co-parents talk to each other, the expectations that they have for one another, and inconsistencies from mom's house to dad's house, not just in terms of a bedtime, but in terms of extracurricular activities, in terms of academics and things like that.
I mean, you see a lot of tragic things, on TV, especially parents coaching their kids to say negative stuff about the parent. And you know that's cannot be good for anybody. How do you help to curtail that with your clients, to help them to understand that, you have to kind of be careful what's said, and, because the loser is the kid if it's not handled correct, right?
So one of the things that parents who are separated don't appreciate, or don't fully appreciate sometimes, is that when you're talking to a child and you're telling that child, your dad is bad, your dad's not a good dad, what you're actually telling that child is 50% of their DNA is bad.
Yes.
And that's how they interpret it.
Yeah.
And so it actually rewires their brains because they start struggling with this idea that they're half bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it has a really detrimental effect on the child. And these parents that go to war with each other, the child ends up carrying that burden, that stress, that anxiety, and really internalizes so much of that conflict. And it doesn't manifest itself right away.
Oh, no.
It usually takes a couple of years, and the child starts acting out, harming themselves, harming other people, disengaging, and what started with the best intentions ends up taking the child down the wrong road.
It's so true. You're so true that an attempt to win a court case by manipulating and saying things, the child internalizes, because, that's my parent, whether it's a mother or father. I share that DNA with them. So, they internalize it and they start to act out.
And they're usually, almost always, they're too young.
Yeah.
They're too young to understand adult problems, adult issues. And they may or may not understand when they get older, just depending on their level of maturity, but usually they're not going to ever understand why mom and dad broke up. And they don't really need to know.
No.
That's not as important as what can mom and dad do to get along for the best interest of the child.
I know years back, almost primarily the courts would always give custody to the mother. But I know now, I mean, it seems like to me, it's more of an effort to give it to the parent who really, would deserve. They look at more than just, okay, this is the mother, you know. Are you seeing that there's more of an effort to equitably distribute time with parents, or are they still? It seems like to me they're giving it, more of a consideration for parents other than just okay, this is the mom, we'll give it to the mom.
That issue actually comes up quite a bit.
Okay.
Because dads tend to think that they get the short end of the
Yeah.
stick whenever they go to court. And
Yeah.
to a certain extent, it can be true.
Okay.
However, family law is governed by the Texas Family Code. And in the Texas Family Code, there's been amendments made so that what was once a standard possession order, now, if dad is the non-custodial parent, all he has to do is make an election, which amounts to saying, I want more time.
Okay.
I want more time with my kids.
Okay.
And so then, instead of the first, third, fifth weekends of the month, starting on Friday at 6 and ending on Sunday at 6, under the expanded possession schedule, dad has Thursday from the time that school is released
Okay.
until Monday morning when school resumes. And if Monday's a holiday, then it continues on until Tuesday
Okay.
morning.
Okay.
And so that's just dad saying, I want more time. And that, different people count different hours, but I would say it's very close to about 47, 48%
Okay.
of the time.
Okay.
Because a lot of the time, especially as children grow older, right, we not only have school that we have to share our
Yeah.
kids with, right, but then they have extracurricular
Yeah.
activities.
Yeah.
And then they have friends.
Yeah.
And they have clubs.
Yeah.
And so then mom and dad's time that they have with their kids,
Starts
it
to
just
shrink.
it just shrinks.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So the expanded possession order is a movement towards, I guess, a more equitable view of parenting time between the two parents. And it's also a recognition that it really takes mom and dad
Yeah.
both to raise a fully functioning,
Yep.
a successful child. And then also in terms of whenever we step inside the courtroom and we're talking, we're in a situation where mom doesn't want dad to have as much time.
Yeah.
And dad wants more time. And so they're pretty much doing this tug of war with
child.
possession and access having to
Yeah.
do with the child. And that can be frustrating for both sides.
Yeah.
Because the more time that dad gets, mom thinks, well, that's less time that I get.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
But when parents can come together and figure out, okay,
Yeah.
where is my quality time going to be most effectively placed? If mom's going to be at work until 6 p.m. every single day, but dad's available right when school lets out every day until 6, then it's very important for dad's attorney to push that issue with the court and say, hey, instead
This
of
makes sense.
instead of the child going to after school care or going with someone else, how about if dad just picks up?
Yeah.
And then dad and the children get that important face time and that important time to bond and find out how was your day, what happened at school, and that sort of thing.
It can work that if you have responsible parents who don't think about what they're dealing with each other, but focus on the child. I think it can definitely work.
I did want to add one thing.
Okay.
It had to do with, or it has to do with dad's getting more time.
Okay.
And what I see in my practice is that dads almost never take the court order to the school.
Oh.
Dads almost always complain, mom didn't take the court order to the school.
Okay.
But what dads really need to do
That they can take the court
is they
order.
need to take the court order to the
Yeah.
school.
Okay.
And they
You
need
hear
to
that, dads? You can take the court order to the school.
and they need to be
Yeah.
involved in what's going on
Yeah.
with the school and reaching out to the teachers. I think too oftentimes dads feel almost as if in the I guess in the realm of marital relations and whatnot, dads tend to think, oh, that's mom's department, or mom's always taking care of that, and so she should take care of this too.
No.
But when the
It's
household separated,
Yeah.
dad really needs to do that extra
Yeah.
legwork himself, because mom's not always gonna think, oh, I should do this for dad, you know?
On the contrary,
Yeah,
probably
she's
not.
gonna think she does enough, because she probably does.
Yeah, yeah, it makes sense. One of the things, though, I do know that unfortunately comes up in family law is I talked about domestic violence. And here lately, it's not just even, just random people, but we're even seeing a lot of things in celebrities. We're seeing a lot of abuse and different things that are going on. So now that it's kind of being brought up on a more open, what kind of advice would you give to someone who is in a domestic violence relationship? What I've heard is when people need to leave, and I do know that not just women are abused. There are some men who are in domestic relationships as well, but I always heard that the most critical time was when you're trying to leave. So how does someone do that safely? Would you recommend, how would somebody do that safely?
So, number one, I think that the majority of the victims of domestic violence are really good at staying alive, right? And one thing that we know about domestic violence is the longer it continues, the more it escalates.
Yes.
And so getting out early is probably always the best solution. However, battered wife syndrome, as it's called, is a very real problem.
Yes, it is.
And it's something that victims of domestic violence struggle with, not just in terms of not being able to get out, but also in being shamed.
Yeah.
Because the public perception, even from close friends and family, is, I told you should have got out of this years ago. I told you about that red flag.
Or I did it because the abuser have you thinking that you did something to elicit that response.
It's your fault. And so this whole idea of victim blaming with the abuser, they're really good at it.
Yes.
Really good at it.
Yeah.
But there's actually resources in San Antonio. The Battered Women and Children's Shelter of San Antonio is probably the best, and well, not probably, without a doubt, the best resource available to people of all income levels. They will, they have intake specialists. They have professionals. They have lawyers on staff that can help these victims, and their information, all you have to do is Google it and get in contact with them, and they can help. And then in terms of finding a lawyer to help, the lawyer just needs experience with domestic violence in the family law context, because depending upon what happened, how long ago did it happen, is there a likelihood that it's going to happen again? What was the nature of the injuries? What was the nature of the conflict? And then probably one of the most important questions is, were the children present for the domestic violence?
Yes. What happens, because I can imagine, you said that, there's attorneys on staff, but, children need a certain way to talk to them as far as, I'm not going to say interrogating them, but trying to find out what happened. Are there specialized people who actually talk to children to make sure that they, maybe can relay what happened to them or what they've seen? Because I can imagine that's traumatic for a child to experience that. Maybe not getting hit themselves, but to see a parent abused.
Absolutely. A licensed professional counselor, LPC, a therapist that has experience working with children, and usually family counseling, someone who does work like that is going to be extremely helpful for the children to talk about what happened and develop some kind of plan or therapy that really helps them recover and move on from that trauma. Another kind of therapy is play therapy is done for children who are very young, and the therapist will sit and watch how they interact and how they play and how the dolls will, you know, playing mom and dad, how the two dolls will interact with each other.
Because that can be very telling.
To see what kind of degree of exposure the child has to the domestic violence.
Yeah, that can be very telling. Are they in a peace level play situation, or is there some tap and they can be very telling. I've even seen some things in like even sexual abuse cases where the children beyond an age to where they should even comprehend or understand sexuality, but were reacting stuff with dolls and stuff. So that makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Do you have anything that you would like to share? I know that there's going to be some people that are seeing the show today that will want to contact you. But before I give them your contact information, was there anything else as far as your practice or?
Well, I want to actually. I'd like to touch on the co-parenting relationship.
Let's do that. We got a whole minute.
Because you can put this into practice, and you don't have to pick up the phone and call anybody.
Okay.
Don't let your co-parenting relationship be determined by the lowest common denominator. So if your co-parent is using ugly language with you, you make sure you don't use ugly language back. And one of the best things that you can do with your co-parent whenever they have a problem and they're upset, recognize that they have a problem and they're upset. The thing that is most disarming is if you respond, "How can I help?"
Wow. I love that. I'm glad. And we're going to end on that note. So that's something to practice, because that's disarming, because they're expecting a fight, right?
Right.
Okay. So you heard it here. So, Mr. Burgess, I'm sure there's going to be someone who's going to want to know about what you do, and how would they contact you, please, sir?
Sure. One of the best ways is to go to the website. It's trevor-burgess.com. That's TREVOR-BURGESS.com.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing so much information with us and the viewers of Maine Health Show. That's going to be it for this episode. I'm Stephanie Anderson. Thank you for watching. Until next time, take care and be blessed. Bye-bye. Hi, I'm Stephanie Anderson, a hair loss professional, a speaker, advocate, and best-selling author. And I want to talk to you about Alopecia Is a Thing, breaking through the BS or the belief systems. This is a groundbreaking book that delves deep into the truths about alopecia that have been long misunderstood. Are you or someone you know affected by this condition? Then this book is a must-read for you. In this eye-opening read, you will uncover the causes, the symptoms, and emotional support options for alopecia like never before. Say goodbye to misconceptions and discover practical tips and advice that have empowered countless individuals to reclaim their confidence and embrace their true selves. But the journey doesn't stop there. Alopecia Is a Thing goes beyond facts and figures, and it's a collection of powerful personal stories from real people who have triumphed over alopecia. Their inspiring journeys will touch your heart and show you the incredible resilience of the human spirit in the face of adversity. Whether you're personally affected by alopecia or seeking to better understand it, this book is your essential guide. It's a beacon of hope and empowerment for anyone willing to open their minds to new perspectives and possibilities. Don't miss out on this transformative read. You don't have to be a woman or man losing your hair to understand this book, but you must have an open mind too. And if you're ready to take control of your life and regain your confidence, then Alopecia Is a Thing is a perfect resource for you. And let's journey towards, if not a hairier, but emotionally healthier future together.